Okay, good morning, grade 8. So, let's have a little starter. What am I? I have one eye and no legs. I've been named Katrina, Andrew, and Irma. I feel like many of you might have the answer by now. Found between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. I cause hazards including high winds, heavy rain, and storm surges. This is a picture of me from the moon. Yep, I think you all got it on those, is it, hurricanes. So, now what you're going to do, if you could just put on folder sheet or on, you can type this up, make sure you got the unit, the topic, the date, and the objective. Okay, so we're going to first, before we come back to hurricanes, we're just going to look at those human and natural disasters. Okay, so what can you see in front of you? We've got now, so you would know, like tornado, hurricane, volcano, earthquake here, so that's the impacts of the earthquake there. We've got an oil spill here. We've got a factory fire, an industrial fire here. Okay, and what just want to do? Could you separate these into two groups? I'll give you a little tip. Maybe think about the objectives you wrote down. I've put the pictures into the two groups. Can you think about what the names would be? Yeah, so we've got human man-made disasters versus those sort of natural disasters. Okay, so what I need you to do is just make this table, okay, and give some examples of some man-made disasters. Put some examples of some natural disasters. Maybe you could think of some more that I've not listed there yet. Okay, and have that nice simple table on there for you. Okay, so make your own table with those on as I just said. Okay, now we're going to first just define natural disasters. So what would be your definition for natural disaster? So copy this down. Yep, a natural event such as a flood, earthquake, or hurricane that causes great damage or loss of life. Okay, so copy that down. And I'm going to give you some examples of some natural disasters. Flooding, okay, and landslides. Now this is quite a severe landslide that's taken out the whole of this highway here. Volcanic eruptions, okay. Forest fires, now you would have heard a lot about the ones in Australia over the past year, okay, and in California. Hurricanes, now this is something that the Bahamas knows a lot about. Earthquakes, this one was in Kobe in Japan, okay. Disease, now you're going to know a lot about these right now. Yep, so one got like disease like malaria, and the reason why you're all doing this distance learning now. Yep, so that idea of things like the coronavirus, okay, COVID-19, and coastal floods, okay. There's a tsunami. This one, I think this is from Japan in 2011, where the tsunami was developed after the earthquake, okay, and drought. That idea of lack of rainfall, which is going to impact upon farming, access to clean water. So these disasters come about due to these kind of natural hazards. Now, a hazard is anything with a danger or risk, okay? So they could then cause these disasters. So copy down that definition. A hazard is anything with a danger or risk. And we're going to look at these natural hazards, okay? And I want you to make this table, okay? And make the table. So atmospheric hazards, these are in the air, okay? Created in the atmosphere by the movement of air and water. Can you think of any examples? I'll give you a clue. One example, okay, and then terrestrial geological hazards, okay, movement of the Earth's tectonic plates and the surface rock and the soils. Which of those disasters I linked up here is from the movement of tectonic plates of the Earth or movement of the surface rock and soils? Which ones are water-based, so created by rivers, sea, or ocean, and which ones are biological hazards, okay? Think about what is going on right now. Any biological substance that poses a threat to the health of people. Okay, so fill that out. Add in a few examples of each one. I've tried to give a little hint. You can use the ones up there. Any problems, send me an email. Now, you might be, when you're putting them in, you're thinking, but maybe they go in more than one. So that's where this task 2. Are there any that overlap categories? say which ones they are and why they fit into more than one category. Then, rate from 1 to 5 the natural hazards and how risky you think they are. Give reasons for these answers. Now, it says minimum of 3 reasons for all of your 5 choices. That means don't give 3 reasons for number 1, 3 reasons for number 2, 3 reasons. Nope. Put your 1 to 5 and then just write 3 sentences that explain like 3 of your choices, okay? So it'll be too difficult for you to write multiple sentences for each one. So overall, this is what you need to upload this week. Complete the table, any hazards that overlap, rank them, rate them from 1 to 5, how risky they are, okay? Number 1 being the most risky, 5 the least risky, and then give 3 sentences that explain your choices. As I said, we will be doing about the ones that impact the Bahamas the most. And which of those 4 do you think impacts the Bahamas the most? Yep. You already know that, hurricanes, and that's what we'll be doing in the second lesson. So, have a break, pause the video now. Natural disasters. So we're going to look at this hurricane distribution, okay? So copy these down, describe and explain the distribution of hurricanes. And when we say the distribution, we mean the spread, where they are, okay? That's that geography, looking about where that event occurs, okay? So, what can you remember from the previous studies? Because we did this in weather and climate briefly. Think about what would be the definition of a hurricane. What would be the naming of the hurricanes? I think we briefly went over that, but we will go over it again now, okay? So what is a hurricane? Now you've got a definition here. You will see a little bit of difference. You might wonder why it says 75 miles per hour and higher there. And on my one, it says 74 miles per hour. This is because, and I'll come back to this in later about that, how we categorize hurricanes, okay? So if you get, but I would put the 74 mile per hour one because that comes in when we do about the Saffir-Simpson scale, okay? And that's that category 1, category 2. So a category 1 hurricane is 74 miles per hour or higher. So what is a hurricane? Copy that down. A large revolving storm with winds at high speeds. We have that revolving storm, so we can actually see it here revolving around. And that form over warm water in tropical areas. Now this will be very important in a second, okay? So we've done about this briefly before, but yeah, so tropical storms are names are decided before they are formed, okay? So we've already got the list for this year on here, and they'll already have the list for 2021. I think it's every 6 years that they can start reusing names, okay? What order are they in? Yep, they're in alphabetical order. They have been named because of the one, it seems to raise awareness. So that idea that word gets around, you'll see it in the news, oh, watch out for Hurricane Arthur coming along, etc. Okay, so it just makes that kind of identification with that storm and it helps us remember them. Okay, hurricane, cyclone, typhoon, tropical storm, you would have heard all of these differences, all these different terms. What are they? What are the differences? So what you want to do is go to YouTube, click on that, and you'll hear this video here. And you'll be able to watch through that, and it answers what the differences are, okay? Some of you will remember this from before, okay? So watch through. Yep, generally they are the same, okay? So a hurricane would be around the Caribbean, in the Atlantic, forming in the Atlantic Ocean, or perhaps on the, so if I show you here, yep, so on the Atlantic Ocean, or here in kind of in the Pacific Ocean here. Cyclones in the Indian Ocean, okay, and typhoons in East Asia, so around Japan, the Philippines, East China over here, okay. Tropical storms. Now, some people use tropical storms as a name for all 3, okay? Other people refer to the tropical storms. It's kind of like that weaker storm that when it builds up, so at first it starts off, I think you will do about this later, and it also mentions it here in this worksheet here, but that idea that it starts off as a tropical storm and then develops into a hurricane when it gets to 74 miles per hour, okay? So, describe the distribution of tropical storms. Where are they? Okay. Distribution, the spread of hurricanes. Where are they? Use evidence from both maps. What do we notice? And we can talk about, so the orange and red, what's the sea temperature there? Okay. Can you remember why the tropical storms are not found along the equator? See this little gap right on the equator? It's not found there. Remember we talked about the doldrums, okay? Maybe that was a little hint. So, where do tropical storms form? Between the intertropical convergence zone, so in between the two tropics, the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer, 5 degrees to 15 degrees north and south of the equator, okay? This intertropical ITCZ is a zone of convergence at the equator where the trade winds meet. It is a low pressure belt, and this low pressure part will become more important when we look into about how the storm actually forms, okay? So, why are they only found in these areas? Why is it the UK doesn't get it? Why all of these areas here do not get impacted by these storms, okay? We'll find that out now. So you've copied down these notes here. So we've got our 4 reasons. I've got my 4 pictures here. Maybe you'll be able to work it out. So the first one, I think that should be the easiest one. Ocean temperatures of 20, some you might see 26 degrees Celsius. So over 27 degrees Celsius or more. The ocean temperature. Do not say the temperature of the actual temperature. It's the water temperature that we're focused on here. Formed over shallow water, so between 60 to 70 meters deep, okay? So it needs those conditions. Low wind shear, wind blowing at the same speed in the same direction. Notice here that if it doesn't, then kind of the head of the storm is cut off, okay? And it doesn't have that chance to build up and become a dangerous storm. Formed in between the tropics, but not at the equator because there is no wind. Those doldrums that we talked about when we did weather and climate, okay? So, assignment 6 going to be for week 6, create your own hurricane. So you'll go onto this website. Now, I've noticed when you click onto that website, it doesn't always come up. So what you might have to do, so I copied and pasted it in, and I got this error sign. So what the best thing to do is go into Google, copy it into Google, search for it, and it'll have this thing called create a cane, okay? For me, use once. And what you do is you play this game here. You need to play around with this to try and get it correct, and you can get your score, okay, to create your hurricane. What temperature do you want to see? What latitude and longitude? So what latitude, etc. here. Play around with that. See what score you can get. Take a screenshot, and you can upload that to me, okay? Back to here. Then we've got the 2 worksheets. Nice, simple, which goes over some of it's what we've done today. Some of it will be review, okay? So you click for, go through, put the letter into the correct part. If you cannot print it or you cannot scan it, you need to write out the whole sentence for me, okay? So that there's good revision notes for you. Don't just send me a message with 1A, 2C, 2D. That means nothing, okay? You need to make out those sentences. Same for here. Don't just send me a load of words. Write out the whole sentences, okay? And upload that to Plus Portal. Okay, so that's just a kind of introduction to natural disasters and human disasters and the location and what is needed, the conditions needed for hurricanes to form. So complete that and then upload your work and have a good week. If you have any questions, then just give me an email.